Welcome to The Joyful Frugalista, the podcast that's all about living a richer life with less. I'm your host, Serena Bird, author and passionate frugalista. Each episode, we dive into inspiring stories, practical tips and joyful conversations that help you create abundance, embrace mindful spending, and live your best life, all without breaking the bank. So grab a cuppa, get comfy, and let's explore how being a frugalista can lead to freedom, happiness, and a whole lot of joy. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Please consult a qualified professional before making financial decisions. Hello, frugalistas, and welcome. Today I have a special guest, and of course all of my guests are special. Today we are going to talk about repurposing and reusing, cost of living, and also about living in a rural area. But first, if you love this podcast and find it useful, please pay it forward by liking or commenting. And also join the Joyful Frugalista Facebook group to join in on discussions with like-minded frugalistas. Sheridan hails from Lost River in New South Wales. And I must say, Sheridan, I just love the name of that town. It sounds fabulous. She is owner-operator of Refined, an eclectic, creative and eco-based retail business operating in Dirty Jane's, Canberra, and Ensemble & Co, Crookwell. And I love Dirty Jane's as well. For those who live in Canberra, if you haven't been to Dirty Jane's, do go and check it out. Established 10 years ago, Sheridan started Refined after having her daughter and moving house and not finding any furniture she liked or thought was quality. Sheridan's work is not just in the furniture and homewares market, but she's also a qualified interior designer, focusing on making the most of what we have, not just, you refer to this as gut jobs every time.
Yeah, that's right.
So welcome, Sheridan.
Hi.
It's great
Thanks
to
for
have you on
having me.
here. We met recently at an International Women's Day event in Taraga, and firstly, it was such an awesome event, and secondly, I really enjoyed chatting with you. So, well done on organising such an amazing event.
Thank you. And it was great chatting with you too, even though it rained so hard that night, that evening, that afternoon. It was great to get the rain, but it didn't have to rain right then. So this was an outdoor event, put this in context, and I think we had like 2 inches of rain. But yeah, it was a great success regardless.
I think everyone was just happy they got there safely too, those who were driving a long distance as well.
Yeah, that's right. There was some people that didn't make it because creek crossings had come up and inaccessible to get over those. But yeah, other than that, I think it was a really great event. It was a great group of women um, and one man, your lovely husband. I think he even enjoyed himself.
He knows all the words to I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, so he's doing well.
Yeah, this is the fourth time we've run this International Women's Day. So it's just basically for five local women, started 4 years ago. We just got together and from very different backgrounds. So obviously I'm in sort of the retail, the upcycling, the crazy creative person. Jo's the mega organised one. She's from the Australian Agricultural Centre in Crookwell. Then we've got Claire. She does a lot of freelance writing, so she's great for writing the grants and getting everything down on paper and trying to keep me on track when I was being the MC for the night. And then Shannon was a great dog's body, and Isabel, who wasn't there that night, she's also been a great organizer for the last 4 years. So it's great every time we pull off a successful event and we sell out and everyone comes and has fun. We feel like we've kicked the goal.
I don't think I've ever been part of such an enthusiastic rendition of Katy Perry's Roar on an International Women's Day. It's just like quite a different vibe. I mean, I go to several International Women's Days events each year, but this one was really special. So yeah, well done.
Yeah, thank you. I think the fact that we finished the evening with a little bit of a pub choir after a lot of strawberry daiquiris and wine had been drunk was very successful.
So back then in early March, sorry, because International Women's Day is always on the 8th of March every year. The current conflict that we're seeing in the Middle East had just begun. And in those early days, we weren't yet seeing the impact on petrol prices or on fertilizers, but we knew that this was going to come. So, what has all of this meant for people like yourself living in rural areas of Australia right now?
I mean, I can only talk for myself, and technically, like, yes, we are on a farm. Yes, I'm 25 minutes out of town. But still, we're not remotely rural. We are rural, but we're not remotely rural. Obviously, apart from the price of fuel and sometimes the availability, um, it hasn't affected us greatly yet. But I have got friends that live further west and far more remote, New South Wales, that are really feeling the crunch. They can't get the fuel deliveries to put their crops into the ground. They can't get the fertilizer to put in with the seed to get the crops in the ground. Or if they're getting it, they're paying such a premium. And it's always like cropping and broadacre cropping is like going to the casino and dropping all your life savings on the table and taking a spin on on the roulette wheel. You never know what the weather's going to hand you every year. So on top of that weather factor, to then have um, the fuel prices, the fertilizer prices, and is it going to get in on top of a looming possible drought? It's a lot to stress about, really. It's a lot of it at the moment, still very much a mental game.
Yeah, it must be very difficult. And I know you can't speak for all of rural Australia, but like, is your community coming together to deal with this? Like, you know, the challenges for frugalistas in rural areas is a little different from in urban areas.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's a matter of making sure that I've got that dreaded long life milk in the pantry in case, one day we get to the point where we don't have any diesel left in the vehicles and we can't get to town to get supplies. So it's things like that, making sure we've got excess staples on hand. It's not panic buying, but it's making sure we're a little bit more prepared. Making sure we've got flour on hand, dry yeast on hand. So worst case scenario, we can make bread. We've got a lot of produce that we've managed to get into the freezer from our garden, that sort of thing. So we'll try to have that squirreled away. And you know, most farming houses are very much run like that. It's not a matter of just ducking around to get a loaf of bread every day or go and grab the milk every day. We sort of forward by the week, or even in some cases 2 weeks.
A little bit familiar with this, and I'm laughing a bit because my in-laws live at a place called Rosso, which is about 30 minutes out of Queanbeyan or 45 minutes out from my house. And because of some roadworks, we're going to have to take the long way there, and it's going to take a little bit longer for the next year or so. And yeah, definitely they bulk buy things like toilet paper because you don't want to run out of that in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. Um, we've just taken out to them a big 20-kilogram bag of baking flour from Costco and some other supplies. So, yeah, it's different, isn't it? Like, it's not too far to go from the shops, but you don't want to be doing it every day.
No, no, and it's not something, we're far enough out of town where you just don't go, I forgot to get the milk, I'll just duck and grab that. You're like, oh, can we just not have cereal in the morning? Just eat toast. Like you sort of got to think about that. And yeah, the shopping list is usually like it's a 4 times or it's a 5 times. It's not just milk, bread, and this. It's like 4 times milk or 5 times bread.
Just to be a little prepared. So now you mentioned that your freezer is full of your produce, and when we were chatting in Terrell, you were talking about all the things you were harvesting, and of course that was a little while ago now, so we're really now more into autumn. So what's growing? What have you been growing this year?
Our fruit trees produced really well this year. And I'm going to say straight up, I am not the gardener. I am not the gardener. I have two roundup thumbs. They're not green, they're roundup thumbs. So my husband has to take credit for all the gardening. But he loves his fruit trees. He loves his garden, the vegetable garden, not the flower garden. We not really a pretty garden place. But in the fruit trees, we've had peaches, we've had apricots, we've had plums, we've had a cherry. One got left by the birds. Thank you, birds. Um, Pears. We've had. What else have we had? There was some olives on the tree, but we don't like olives, so they sort of get left there as well. Um, and a lot of apples. We have one Royal Gala tree and it was so laden with fruit, and it's still got fruit on it now, that we've had to use a ratchet strap to hold the tree together so it didn't split out from the weight of all the fruit. And what we've actually done this year is actually sold the excess fruit at the local shop in Crookall at Ensemble and Co. Just because it is fresh, it was farm fresh, it was picked straight off the tree, and people really appreciated that quality. Yes, they had some spots or a little bit of rub, but to get farm fresh apples, people seem to like paying to get that quality.
Well done. So it was quite profitable selling your apples.
Yeah, yeah. That one poor tree, and it's probably produced, I think, from a guesstimate, about 80 to 90 kilos of apples. So it's a lot of apple for one little tree. We've also had the blackberries going, so
Wow.
thornless blackberries, and tomatoes. My husband loves his tomato plants. I'm allergic to them, so they're no good again to me. But yeah, a lot of tomatoes, cucumbers, honeydews, rock melons, and now we had our first frost today, so that'll be at the end of the tomatoes. But we've got some pumpkins that will be ready to be harvested after another couple of frosts.
I didn't realize you had frost. It was 1.5 degrees when I got up this morning, but and I've got a few things that need to go under the patio. So, but it's not going to be long now. Where it's going to be quite a lot of frost in New South Wales. So, yeah,
It
it's
was a
a
shock.
it's a short growing season.
It is. It is a short growing season. Ultimately, our goal is to maybe eventually down the track get a greenhouse system going, which will extend our growing season a little bit longer, especially for his beloved tomatoes. Um, but it'd be great to be able to just extend our growing season that little bit longer.
And do you do preserving as well?
Um, I dabble in it. I hate seeing waste. Not that much gets wasted here because we have got our little mob of sheep and single cow. So anything that's not edible for us goes over the fence for them to nibble on. But yes, I do make jam, or my husband loves green tomato relish. So now that the frost has taken out the tomatoes, all those green tomatoes will now come in and be turned into green tomato relish. So yeah, we do that sort of thing. Not so much the canning like they love in America, with all their carrots and all their corn and everything in cans. But yeah, we'll make the preserves like jams and relishes and stuff.
I have a lot of cherry tomatoes that I need to make a green tomato relish with, so I might need your recipe later. This is our first year that we've had a full kind of warm season in our new house. We've just been in for a year. It was very disorganized kind of veggie patch. Things were way too close together, but I must say it has made a huge difference on the bottom line of our grocery prices. What sort of difference does it make to you and your household with what you grow, which is considerably more than what I have?
Um, I guess, I mean, it's hard to say exactly this year, because our daughter's gone to boarding school. So automatically that's nearly food for two people off our food bill most weeks. It doesn't seem to matter. Everyone thinks teenage boys are the ones that eat a lot. It's not. It's teenagers full stop. They seem to just be able to put it away. But generally, our grocery bill, for me to do a decent shop, and I'm a frugalista. I'm savvy. I'm shopping at Aldi. I'm shopping at Coles, and getting the specials. And obviously, there's things that I won't substitute. So even though I love to shop at Aldi's, I won't buy imported corn in a can, or I won't buy imported, seafood or anything like that. I I still, I guess it's that farmer mentality in me. I will always support Australian produce first. Obviously, there's some things that you can't get that are overseas products, but generally, I won't just buy it because it's cheap. I'll buy it if it's Australian and cheap. So generally, after I do my grocery shop, we usually spend about $450 a fortnight on groceries. But being able to supply your own fresh produce, it probably knocks a good $100 off in that fortnight, which doesn't sound like much, but when you have a season, usually from December through to about now, and we're still, like I said, still got the pumpkins coming through, so and potatoes. We're in Crookall, we're near Crookall, we've got potatoes. We'll substitute, potatoes for pumpkin most nights while we've got them on hand.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I put some pumpkin seeds in September last year, and I didn't think they took for a long time. I went, oh well, they didn't take, and then they sort of we got a few, and I was so excited. I was like, wow, I wonder if that's going to kind of work. And now our backyard's been overtaken by pumpkins, and we've got Kent pumpkins, and they're huge. So we haven't harvested them yet. I'm seeing you've obviously done this before. I've been told I have to wait till the first frost.
Yeah, so they need a good frost to kill off the vine. That's the best way to know that they're going to ripen well for you.
And so I don't need to be, I shouldn't be too impatient. I just wait.
Just wait, just wait. It's a bit like us. One of our pumpkins, out of all the places it could have grown, acres and acres, and it has grown on top of an old tire that Tim had used to protect the plant. And it's literally just sitting on top of the edge of this old tire, just teeter-tottering on the edge of this tire. And we're just going, it's going to break off. It's going to break the vine. It's going to have to snap off. It's going to get too heavy, but it's still there. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Their own, don't they? Like one of mine has, or one of the strands has climbed a camellia tree and it fruited like right at the top. And I've been watching this. It's come down like about half a meter, but it's still the vine supporting a couple of kilograms of this pumpkin. And it's still just the vine supporting it. I don't know how it's doing it, but I'm like, oh, well, it'll work itself out.
You'll get that frost and there'll be pumpkin on the ground.
Well, it's sort of come down. It's close to the ground now, so it's not too far. But yeah, we'll wait and see. So this year, which I only discovered fairly recently, and I should have known this, but it's actually the UN International Year of the Woman Farmer. So, which I was really interested with this because I sort of hadn't really considered the impact of women and farming. So, based on your understanding and your connection to the land, what do women farmers in Australia do differently or better? Like, how significant is it to have women in farming?
I think, everyone thinks of farming and you automatically think of sheep, cows, and a tractor going around and round and round. And obviously, there's always a physical strength side to it, which is all very masculine. But I think, from my experience, and as the oldest of three girls in my family growing up, um, women and females, and regardless of whether you're a mother or not, we have a maternal instinct. Um, and obviously a bit more of a softness, which gives us that little bit of an edge sometimes, particularly in livestock situations. Um, you know, there's that patience. So, you're mustering a mob of sheep, and sometimes you go, oh, they're a bit flighty, they're going to go this way, and I want them to go this way. Um, and it's understanding and reading that mob and just taking that step back and go, okay, if I just put a bit more pressure here, hopefully that crazy one's just going to steer the way I want it to. Let it think it's its idea. Where sometimes, and I mean, my father and husband would hate this, but they're so impatient, they're just trying to get the job done, and they put the pressure just a little bit in the wrong spot. they're gone. They're gone, you know. So I think females sort of bring that a little bit more of a softness, which becomes our strength to farming. Just being able to juggle it, uh, regardless of whether you live in an urban setting or in a rural setting. Women are expected to be able to do it all. Like we're all expected to have a job. We're looking after the family. We're still the housekeepers. We're still doing the cooking. And so I think, yeah, regardless, even in a rural setting, we're still doing that. But we have to intertwine. Like farm life isn't a 9 to 5. You don't clock out and you go home. Quite often, you're still at the job at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock if you're into harvesting or sowing season. So, it's a matter of being able to juggle it and bringing a bit of a softness, which becomes our edge to the industry.
Wow, so many facets, so many things with that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but that's us women, isn't it? There's never just one dimension to us, is there?
It's just as you were talking, I was thinking like the mental load for most women is hard enough. Like remembering, in my case, working, then having joyful frugalista, and then with children and organizing things, being married. That's enough. But then on top of that, you've got sheep and a cow and produce and community and whatever else you've got.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm no different to any other woman that I know. We're all got 1,000 different hats, and we're just trying to put them all on our head, sometimes all at once. Um, so, I think as women, and this is why I found International Women's Day so important. It really You need to find that you're not alone doing that and you're not going crazy. You may feel like you're going crazy, but you're not going crazy because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to wear all the different hats. Do we want to lose the hats? God, no. We don't want to give up our hats. We don't want to take off that hat like, okay, someone else can look after the kids. Like, you will still be worrying about them, you don't want to worry about looking after the sheep. But actually, I'm not going to not check that they got water and feed today. So, I think that's why I found International Women's Day and helping organise that event for rural women was so important. So it was an opportunity to connect and find that what we thought was unique or stir crazy is actually common across the board.
Yeah, no, and definitely I could see that the way the women, everyone was interacting. It was just so lovely to see that there were definitely some real common stories and common sense of community.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I am lucky. The area I've grown up here, so I've lived in this area nearly all my life. I did move away for a period, but um, most of the women, even if they're newcomers to the area, so the district I grew up in is not the same as what it is now, but you know, there really is that sense of community within the female um, party, regardless. Like, we may not all be friends, we may not all get along, but if you saw someone struggling with 4 kids under the age of 5 down the street, and with a bag of shopping, 90% of the people would step in and say, "Here, let me grab your bag," or "Come on, let's help mum get these bags to the car." It's it's a common thing for the town I grew up in to do that.
It is a lovely community from what I saw. So thank you for sharing that. Now, we are going through a period where there is a real cost of living crisis, and we know that already. We know that inflation's going to go up. You talked a little bit about the, issues about getting crops in and how that's going to affect pricing. But of course, this is not the first time in our recent history that cost of living has become quite a big issue. And during COVID, you started your own initiative aimed at what I term frugalista living, but you had a different kind of term for what you were doing. So, could you share a little bit about your initiative?
Yes, so during COVID, and through the 2020, 2021. COVID years, we actually moved out of our family home that we owned and ended up renting a farmhouse about 7 k's up the road from where we are now. It's a 200-year-old stone house with no heating in the stone part. It's been sort of built on and built on, which was interesting for my family. Anyway, one night, this is the second wave of COVID, 2021, the next wave's coming through. And I was standing at the sink and going, my God, what are we going to do? Like, if we can't go to work, what if, like all the what ifs were coming out? And, by this stage, everyone's sort of talking about, not working and not having income and that. And I sort of thought, I think there should be a community for this. Like, we should be able to share our tips with each other and share how we're sort of cutting little corners. It's not going without, but just those little things that will make a difference at the bottom line. So I started a Facebook group called Common Sense. So common, COMMON, sense, CENTS. But it also should be common sense to want to try and save a little bit of money here and there, regardless of what income you're on or where you live.
And is the Facebook group still going?
It is. It is still going. I did manage to find that it is still alive. We never got a huge following, and I have to admit, I never, between work and life, and we've bought another place, sold that place, and moving and everything, it sort of fell to the wayside. But it is something I'm trying to reinvigorate. There were some great initiatives. Other women had posted on there, and I was trying to post something every week. So, for example, again, like I said, Crookle District, spud area. 90% of our spuds are just brushed, so they're still dirty spuds. So one of the tips, that I sort of found was, instead of wasting so much potato peeling them, is to actually use like a heavy metal scourer, the ones you use for washing up. If you rub
Hmm.
that over your potato, it washes it and peels it at the same time. And so it's sort of little tips like that. Another woman put in about, your avocado into your ice cube trays and freezing lemon juice so that they didn't go off and that sort of thing. So there were some great hints and tips there.
That's a good one. So my husband always buys the full bag of avocados because it's cheaper that way per unit. But the only problem is I'm the only person who really eats avocados in the household. And I love avocados, but I probably can't really eat one whole one a day. Like 5 to 6 a week is it's probably a bit much even for me. So yeah, definitely I freeze mine. Not in ice cube trays though. I think I probably need to do that. But they make great smoothies.
They do. My daughter loves a bit of avocado in her banana smoothie.
Yeah, just something extra. Taiwan, where I've spent a lot of time living, they make beautiful smoothies with their avocados. Their avocados are really big. They're like almost like mini football size. And they're not actually as nice for eating, if that makes sense. Our smaller ones are actually nicer for eating, but they make really nice smoothies. So yeah, it's a favorite tip. What I really want to talk to you about next is your love about decorating and design. So, you got into this when your children were young and you couldn't find quality sort of furniture?
That's when I started Refined, which is my business. My interest in upcycling and recycling everything started when I was a kid. My grandfather, so my dad's father, he served in World War II, but he was a child of the Great Depression. And so he threw nothing, nothing out. Every jar, I think, that ever passed through that house was stored in the house or under the house. Every tin can, every bit of baling twine around the farm, no piece of wire was ever thrown away. Everything was saved and everything had a purpose. And I always found it fascinating that Pop would make little dollhouse furniture out of sardine cans and out of little cans and little tables, and he'd sit there and he'd snip these little strips of tin, and then curl them up so they were these little curled delicate little pieces of furniture made out of old tin cans, and then he'd use little pieces of velvet and pad each cushion, and it just fascinated me. And then on my mother's side, so no wonder I'm a crazy creative. You know, mum's a sewer. My grandmother was a sewer and a knitter. My uncle's, he is an upholsterer. He does upholstery work. And so, you jam all these sort of family influences as a kid together and you get me.
And so, what do you love about upcycling? So, you obviously had these strong childhood influences. So, as an adult, why has this become something that you really gravitate to?
I think it's partly because of the challenge. I love seeing something built from nothing, where someone probably sees a pile of scrap timber. I'm looking at it going, what sort of timber is it? How much solid timber's in it? What could I make with that? Is that a wall hanging? Is it a tabletop? Is it the side of a cabinet? Is it going to be just a chalk? Is it a piece that I can sit something on while I paint it? It's that challenge. I love that challenge. And obviously, spending so much time with my grandfather, he used to use wacky things for different things. So, a pot comes out of the house because it had the bum burnt out of it. And the next thing it's, a post cap in the paddock, to stop water running down a steel strainer, So it used to be this. What can it be now? What's it look like? What purpose could it be? Is that a light fitting? Is that a bookcase? Is that a decorative piece? Is it a chair? I love reimagining what the next life for that piece is.
And a lot of the old-fashioned stuff is actually much better quality, isn't it? Like and I don't have a particular gripe about IKEA, but it's that whole style of modern things. Some of it is good quality, but a lot of it is very stylish, and the design is amazing, but the actual quality of the wood or the fabric isn't necessarily as good.
Yeah, and I mean, I've built my fair share of flat packs. I'm not adverse to going to IKEA. I can't say that I've bought furniture there anytime recently. I'm just racking my brain. No, but it still serves its purpose. But there is also, far more quality pieces that you can find and pieces that will serve you longer term just by buying secondhand because they've already proven themselves. So, for example, at the moment, the desk that I'm talking to you on is actually an old dressing table, but it's quite large, it's quite deep, so it's quite big. But the shape of it and the quality of it, this piece is probably from the 1920s, so it's 100 years old. It's done its time as a dressing table. It hasn't got its mirror, but I love it as my desk. It's ornate. It's got beautiful drawers. It's got storage. It's perfect for me, and it's probably going to last another 100 years. Not that I will, but it might.
You never know with modern technology, but no, definitely. And it's very frugal and it's good quality. And as you said, it's already done its time. So, let's see how it goes further in the future. Now, I have one final question to ask you, and that is, do you have a frugalista tip to share?
Wow, which one? um, which one should I give you? We've spoken about avocado. We've spoken about lemons. That's right. So, laundry, one of the biggest costs in the laundry is obviously your washing powder and your soaker, fabric softeners, and that sort of thing. And they all come with a whopping great big scoop, like probably, about this big. And most of us just go, yep, that's how much we use. Vump, vump, turn it on. Over time, I sort of started going, well, hang on, why is my washing coming out with powder stuck all over it still? Particularly if it's a large load or if it's been stuffed in wrong and it comes out and you've got that dreaded white scunge mark down one leg or across the top of a shirt, or even worse, if you use a soaker, it's bleaching it. So I found that all you need is a tablespoon and a teaspoon. A tablespoon of washing powder in my 8.5 kilo front loader is enough washing powder to get my washing clean. We don't come out with stains, we don't stink. And if I'm doing a white slate, I'll add a teaspoon of soaker in, and it just gives it that brightness, that little pump up. And I don't use fabric softener just because I believe it gumps up the washing machine, but I do use washing crystals which have the scent in them. But again, they say to use 2 scoops. I only use one.
That's great advice. And actually, my father is a chemist, as in not a pharmacist, but a chemist. And early in his career, would have been the late 60s or early 70s, he spent a little bit of time working in a role where I think they were either developing detergent or there was something they were testing. And his view is that most commercial detergents are way too alkaline. There's just, I guess everyone's really paranoid about getting those hard stains, those oil stains out in the wash, but I don't put things with oil stains in my wash. I don't have that sort of clothes.
No. And I mean, my husband's a shearer, so he's got lanolin, like the dungarees that shearers wear. So the double denim, the double denim down the fronts of the legs. And so lanolin, it builds up in there. What we actually use, and this is going to sound absolutely crazy, we actually use a couple of pumps of the Orange Power, the hand scrub you get from Super Cheap Auto and that sort of thing. Couple of pumps that cuts the grease, the washing powder does the rest. And we're still only using a tablespoon. You know, for a shearer's dirty old sheet covered dungarees to go through with just a tablespoon, they still come out clean. You know, generally people probably don't need to be using this much washing powder. And it's such a saving.
There you go. Another tip. So you actually give it two. So
Yeah, I have. That's a cleaning tip, not a money saving one.
so Sheridan, where can people find your business and all your lovely upcycled, recycled items?
Yeah, so like you mentioned earlier, I have a stall at Dirty Jane's in Canberra. For those again that you mentioned about Dirty Jane's Canberra, Dirty Jane's also has a stall in Barrel and Orange. I'm only in the Canberra one, just for logistical reasons. So if you've ever been in there, walk in, chuck a left, and I'm over on the far wall, and you can't miss me. I've got shotgun shells over the top of my space. I make shotgun shell lights out of recycled shotgun shells. And in Crookwell, so Crookwell is my hometown. It's the town I was born in. Not many people would say that. And where I grew up. So Ensemble and Co in Crookwell is where my local shop is. And I also work there a couple of days a week. So if you happen to pop in on the right day, you can catch me there as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sheridan. It's been such a delight. I really enjoyed chatting with you when I met you on International Women's Day, and I'm so glad to have you on the podcast. So thank you very much.
No, thank you so much for having me.